They clung to each other with a ferocity that no distance could break. Now exposed to the biting wind, the girl's gaze darted toward the faint glow of a house, unsure if it promised refuge or danger. The door creaked open, revealing a woman who looked like she hadn't expected visitors in years. Agnes Harper stood there, her silver hair neatly tied back, her mouth a tight line, her eyes like storm clouds. Behind her, her husband, Edwin, eased forward in his chair, his movements stiff from a hip that never stopped aching. They said nothing at first, just studied the children, the darkness beyond them, the world that had cast them aside. Agnes noticed the streak of mud on the girl's face, the frayed edge of her skirt, the way Liam tilted as if his strength was fading fast. But it was the girl's eyes, sharp, glassy, braced for rejection, that told their story. "Come inside," Agnes said, stepping aside almost instinctively. Lila blinked, as if the invitation needed time to register. We don't need much. Just somewhere warm for the night." Edwin muttered, "You'll eat." They stepped in like shadows, uncertain they belonged in a world of light. Lila held Liam's hand tighter as the warmth enveloped them. The air smelled of worn leather, nutmeg, and a faint trace of liniment. Agnes led them to the hearth without touching them. Some boundaries were too raw to cross. Liam stayed silent for the first hour, curled against his sister, staring into the fire as if it held secrets he wasn't ready to share. Lila answered sparingly, her words measured. They'd come from a logging village up the valley, she said. Their mother was gone, their stepfather worse than absent. When he vanished, they'd been left on the streets, too old for anyone to claim. Too old, Agnes whispered to herself, setting a cracked mug of tea before Lila. Her fingers tightened briefly, a memory stirring, of empty years of a nursery never used. Edwin's voice cut through, rough as sand. "Anyone hurt you?" Lila's eyes flicked up. "No," she said quickly, then softer. "Not with fists." The room grew heavy. Agnes rested her hand on Edwin's, a silent agreement passing between them. "You're not sleeping on the ground again," Edwin said, standing with a wince, his hip protesting. He nodded toward a hallway. "There's a room. Meant for someone else. Never needed it." Lila gave a small nod, no words of thanks, but she steadied Liam as they followed, her hand gentle under his arm, carrying him as she'd always done. The door closed. Agnes sat, staring into the fire. "We don't know them," Edwin said, more to himself. "Don't need to," Agnes replied. Later, as she passed their room, she paused, listening. Lila's voice, soft and halting, sang a lullaby their mother must have known. It broke off mid-verse. Agnes gripped the doorframe, feeling a spark reignite in a heart she thought had gone cold. It could have ended there, a fleeting kindness, a warm bed for a night or two. But the next morning shifted everything. Agnes found Lila in the kitchen, sleeves pushed up, rummaging through the pantry with quiet confidence. Liam still slept, curled tight like he didn't trust the world to hold him. "You cook?" Agnes asked, surprised. Lila shrugged. "Better than most. On the streets, you learn, or you starve." She found barley, a bit of milk, a bruised pear. Her movements were sure, older than her years. Agnes watched in silence. When Edwin shuffled in, grumbling about his hip, he paused at the bowl set before him. "This supposed to fix me?" "No," Lila said, "but it might quiet you down." Agnes hid a smile as Edwin snorted. They stayed a week. Agnes told herself it was temporary, until they found a relative, a friend. But the house felt alive again, and Lila, wary as she was, began to soften, reading to Liam by the fire, wiping down Agnes's old teapot without prompting. Once she asked, "Did you ever have kids?" "One," Agnes said. "Almost." Lila nodded, as if she knew the weight of that word. But peace is fragile when it's most precious. On a Tuesday, a knock broke the quiet. Two men stood at the door, their coats too clean, badges glinting with authority. "You're housing 2 kids, the taller one said. "They had nowhere else," Agnes replied, her voice steady. "They're wanted now," he said, his tone flat, "by a man who's got a claim." Lila and Liam overheard from the stairs. Agnes hadn't seen them approach, but Lila's face was pale, her arm shielding her brother. "He's not our family," Lila said, her voice cutting through. The man, Deputy Vance, glanced up. "You Lila? He says he's your stepfather. Married your mother." "Doesn't make him our father," Edwin growled. Lila stepped forward, her bare feet silent on the floor. "He left us. Told everyone we were a burden. Said he had better things to do." Liam trembled behind her, and she squeezed his hand. He hadn't spoken to strangers since they arrived. Vance held up a paper. "He's got rights, legal or not. Judge's orders." Edwin leaned on his cane. What if we claim them? Vance's eyes narrowed. You filing for custody? I'm keeping them safe, Edwin said. The argument dragged on, taut and unyielding. Agnes held her ground. Edwin glared. Lila never let go of Liam. The men explained the order was temporary, pending a full review, but the words felt hollow. You've got an hour, Vance said. Pack their things. When the men stepped outside, Agnes shut the door and stood still. Lila clutched Liam, her voice fierce. I'm not going. Agnes knelt before her. You might not have a choice. He doesn't care, Lila whispered. He just wants the land our mother left. It's all about money. Agnes's chest tightened. Then we'll fight him. But we have to keep you safe first. Edwin was already in the back, pulling out a box of old papers, adoption forms, faded but valid. We finished this, he said, handing them to Agnes. The next morning, Agnes drove the cart to the town hall, Lila beside her, eyes fixed ahead. Edwin stayed with Liam. They waited hours outside the judge's office. A clerk finally glanced at their petition. Custody's already with Mr. Kane. You can file, but it'll take weeks. Weeks? Lila's voice broke. Agnes leaned close. We know what we're fighting for. Hold on. But trouble moved faster. Outside the hall, a man leaned against a cart, his hat tilted, his smile cold. Lila froze. Kane. He ignored Agnes, his eyes on Lila. Time to go. She's not yours, Agnes said. Kane's gaze flicked to her. This your business, lady? It is now, Agnes said. She's under my care. Pending a hearing. Lila's voice was small. Where's Liam? Waiting, Kane said, too smooth. No, he's not, Agnes snapped. They raced back to the house. Edwin met them at the gate, his face grim. Liam was gone. Lila bolted inside, calling his name, her voice raw. The room was a mess, Liam's jacket, his shoes gone. A note lay on the table. Lila read it aloud, her voice shaking. Come alone by dusk, or he's gone for good. Kay. He took him, Lila said. Agnes was already moving. He's not keeping him. But Lila was faster. You don't know him. He'll trade Liam for me. It's what he wants. Edwin grabbed his coat. We'll get the sheriff. No time, Lila said. He means it. Her next words broke Agnes. Let me go. It's the only way. No, Agnes said. I won't let you go to him. I'm not asking, Lila said. If you follow, he'll run and Liam's gone. She kissed Agnes's cheek, whispered, Thank you, and slipped away before they could stop her. Agnes and Edwin followed her trail, the woods swallowing the light. They had no weapon, only desperation. In a clearing, Kane stood, arms crossed. Liam sat in a cart, wrists bound, eyes wide with fear. Lila faced Kane, chin up. You got me, she said. Smart girl, Kane said. Agnes circled through the brush, silent. Edwin charged forward, Kane raised. Let him go. Kane laughed, but before he could strike, Edwin's cane cracked across his arm. Agnes lunged for Liam, cutting his ropes. Lila stood her ground, eyes fierce, ready to fight for her brother. Lila threw herself between Kane and Agnes, taking a fist to the cheek that sent her sprawling. Agnes reached the cart, ripping the ropes from Liam's wrists. He gasped, his voice small but steady. I didn't cry, he whispered. Lila told me to be brave. I was. Lila staggered to her feet, blood on her lip, eyes blazing. Edwin pinned Kane down, his breath uneven. Touch a child again, he growled, and you'll wish you hadn't. By the time deputies Vance and Hart arrived, alerted by a passerby, the fight was done. Agnes stood with her arm around Lila, fierce and unyielding. Edwin held Liam close, while Kane, bruised and cursing, was dragged off with new charges pending. The adoption papers Agnes filed moved faster than anyone expected. The judge, chastened, admitted he hadn't seen the full picture. Custody wasn't just legal, it was love forged in fire. By week's end, Lila and Liam Harper had new names on their records. Lila stayed quiet for days, not from fear but from the weight of survival finally easing. On the third morning, Agnes watched her from the kitchen, sunlight spilling over the floor where Lila sat by the hearth, Liam's head in her lap. He slept, his breath soft under the blanket Edwin had tucked around him. Lila's fingers wove gently through his hair, her eyes fixed on him. He wouldn't eat last night, she said softly as Agnes approached. We'll try again, Agnes said. Lila nodded, her gaze unwavering. Edwin stepped in from the yard, brushing dirt from his hands. Vance sent word. Kane's locked up tight. Folks from other towns are talking, his past caught up. He's not getting out soon. Lila whispered, good. Agnes sat beside her. You're safe now. You know that, don't you? Lila's eyes flickered. It doesn't feel real yet. Agnes understood. The body rested first, the heart took time. Lila had carried Liam through hunger, cold, and Cain's shadow. Healing wasn't a sprint. Later, when Agnes asked if Lila wanted to help bake bread, she nodded. No smile, just a quiet step forward. They kneaded dough side by side, silent but together. When Lila spilled flour across the floor, she froze, bracing for a scolding. Agnes laughed and handed her a cloth. Lila stared, as if laughter was a foreign sound. Edwin, meanwhile, fixed the window in Liam's room. The boy still wouldn't sleep without Lila nearby, so Edwin moved 2 beds together without a word. The house hummed with life again, for mugs on the table, extra shoes by the door, the soft shuffle of feet at dawn. Agnes and Lila tended the fire in sync, while Liam wandered in, hair wild, sitting quietly until Edwin read from an old book of poems. Liam leaned closer, soaking in the words like they were rain on dry earth. The town had its whispers. Some, who'd never spared Agnes or Edwin a thought, now had opinions. Too old to raise kids, they muttered at the market. What happens when they're gone? Agnes overheard it while buying sugar. Mrs. Carver, the miller's wife, leaned over the counter, loud enough for all to hear. Heard those kids were just strays till now. Bold move, taking them in so late. Agnes didn't blink. They've got names, Lila and Liam. Say them. Mrs. Carver huffed. Still seems odd at your age. Better us than a man like Cain, Agnes said, her voice ice. The shop fell silent. That night, Agnes kissed Lila's forehead a little longer. Lila noticed but didn't ask why. Spring turned to summer. The fields greened, the hens clucked. Liam stopped flinching at every noise. His first word came on a Wednesday, as Edwin sharpened tools. Lila dropped a tin cup on the porch, and Liam picked it up, whispering, "Here." Agnes nearly dropped her basket. Lila froze, eyes wide. Edwin paused, his knife still. "What?" Liam asked, confused. "Nothing, son," Edwin said. "Just glad to hear you." "Was I not supposed to?" Liam frowned. Lila hugged him so tight he yelped. After that, Liam's voice trickled out, soft, hesitant, but there. When Edwin let him help in the shed, Liam's grin lit up the yard. Not everything mended neatly. One night, Agnes found Lila on the porch, arms wrapped around her knees, staring at the stars. Edwin and Liam were asleep. Agnes sat beside her, silent for a long while. "It's hard to believe it's real," Lila whispered. "The quiet?" Agnes asked. Lila nodded. "I keep waiting for it to break. For someone to take us away. For you to change your mind." Agnes took her hand. "I've buried dreams, Lila. Thought they were gone for good. Then you and Liam showed up, like a door I didn't know could open. You didn't break anything, you brought us back. You're ours, not just on paper, but here." She touched her chest. Lila leaned into her shoulder, and they sat until the stars blurred. Days later, a letter arrived, no sender's name. Agnes read it twice, then handed it to Edwin. He unfolded it slowly. Lila stepped outside, wiping her hands. "What's wrong?" "It's from the shelter we passed through," Edwin said. "Burned down. No one hurt, but it's gone." Lila paled. "How?" "No warning," Agnes said. "Started at night. Collapsed. But they found something odd, a carved stone untouched by the fire, set in the ruins like someone left it there." Lila's voice was faint. "Was it his?" "Maybe," Agnes said. "Or maybe someone's way of saying no child should suffer there again." The silence that followed held weight, not pain. Lila asked to learn knitting soon after. Agnes taught her to loop yarn into scarves, and when Liam wanted to try, Lila guided him with steady hands. She stopped calling him her brother, instead whispering, "My anchor." He called her my compass. On the 7th Sunday they sat in church, Edwin by the aisle, Agnes beside him, Lila holding Liam's hand. Whispers followed, some kind, some not. When the preacher asked for blessings, Lila stood. The room stilled. "I thought silence meant no one wanted us," she said. "Now I know it can mean peace. And peace means love. I've never felt more love than now." No one spoke. Agnes pressed a handkerchief to her eyes. Edwin squeezed her shoulder. That night, as Lila tucked Liam in, he whispered, "Would Mama be proud?" "She'd be proud of your courage," Lila said. "Your heart." "You too," he murmured. "Then let's keep making her proud," Lila said, smiling. Summer settled in, warm and thick. Agnes left windows open at dawn, closing them by dusk. Edwin chopped wood before the heat rose. Liam chased ducklings, his laugh echoing. Lila read from borrowed books, tracing words she'd repeat while stirring stew or patching quilts. But one sound was missing, Tears met with comfort. Lila and Liam had learned to carry pain alone. That changed one night when a storm crashed in, thunder shaking the walls. Liam stirred in his sleep, his breath uneven. Lila hummed beside him, her own voice tight. Agnes stepped into their room, lit by a flickering lantern. Without a word, she sat on the bed, pulling them both close. Liam's tears came first, then Lila's, muffled against Agnes's shoulder. For the first time, they let themselves be held. The storm roared on, but inside, the house was steady, warm, and theirs. The storm was relentless, the kind that dragged up memories of the night Lila and Liam were left homeless, rain soaking their shoes as they wandered with nowhere to turn. When thunder roared again, sharper, Liam bolted upright, gasping. Lila pulled him close, her arms a shield. "I'm here," she whispered. "It's just noise. We're okay." But he clung to her, unconvinced. Downstairs, Agnes paused mid-prayer, hearing the patter of feet overhead. She climbed the stairs slowly, but before she reached the top, she caught Lila's voice, raw and breaking. "I tried to be strong," Lila sobbed, rocking Liam. "I tried not to be afraid, but storms, they bring it all back. I hate them." Agnes stood at the door, then did something she hadn't in years. She pushed it open, knelt beside them on the worn rug, and opened her arms. Lila froze. Liam blinked. Agnes said nothing, just waited. Slowly, Lila leaned forward, and Agnes enveloped them both as thunder cracked again. "I know," she whispered, stroking their backs. "I know." Lila's tears soaked her shoulder. Liam buried his face in her scarf. Edwin lingered in the hallway below, wiping his eyes unseen. That night, something settled. The children slept deeply, unafraid. At breakfast, they asked for more oatmeal. By morning's end, Lila hummed while sweeping the porch, and Liam kicked his heels against the steps, just because he could. But a new shadow loomed. A stranger rode into Willow Creek, his coat road-worn but neat, boots polished despite the dust. He asked about a girl with auburn hair and a boy with gray eyes, claiming to be their distant cousin, only now hearing of their hardship. The blacksmith, Amos, sensed trouble and sent for Edwin. Edwin found the man, Jarvis, on the tavern steps. "You the one with those kids?" Jarvis asked, his smile too smooth. Edwin studied him. "What's your business?" "Just family," Jarvis said. "Heard their mother passed. Thought I'd check on them." "Why now?" Edwin asked. "Didn't know till recently," Jarvis said, his eyes shifting. "Name the boy," Edwin said. Jarvis faltered. "The boy." "His name," Edwin pressed. Jarvis muttered, "Don't need this." He stepped back. "You think you're helping, keeping them from kin. Kids ask questions eventually. They'll want their real family." "Sheriff's coming," Edwin said. "You'd best be gone." Jarvis rode off, but his words lingered. Back home, Lila saw the strain in Edwin's quick smile. Later, as the children slept, Agnes asked, "What did he mean about them asking questions?" "He's stirring doubt," Edwin said. "Wants them wondering." "Lila will want to know about her mother someday," Agnes said. "We'll tell her what we know," Edwin replied. "Which ain't much." Lila, listening from the stairs, stepped forward the next morning. By the meadow's edge, she asked, "Do you know anything about our mother?" Agnes hesitated. "Only that she left you in a shelter, crying as she went." No one said why. "Her name?" Lila asked. "Don't know," Agnes admitted. "But I've sent word to the town clerk. If there's a record, you'll see it." Lila gripped the fence. "What if she's alive?" "We'll find out," Agnes said. "Together." "You think I'll stop wanting you if I know?" Lila asked. Agnes smiled. "Love's not a loaf you split. It's a fire that grows. You wanting answers just makes it burn brighter." Lila exhaled, her shoulders easing. But 2 days later, a letter arrived at the general store, addressed to Lila, postmarked from Pine Hollow. Her hands shook as she opened it. Liam peered over. "What is it?" Lila's voice broke. "She's alive. Our mother." Agnes took the letter. "Dearest Lila and Liam, I pray this finds you safe. I've searched for you since I left you at that shelter. I was ill, penniless, thought it was best. I've regretted it every day. I love you always. If you want, I'm in Pine Hollow by the old mill. I'll wait. Forgive me. Your mother, Eliza." Edwin rubbed his jaw. "Pine Hollow's a day's ride." "We'll go," Agnes said, packing a bag. Lila stopped them. "Not to see if she wants us. To show her what we have now." They set out at dawn, Lila beside Edwin in the wagon, her fingers clutching the letter. Liam sat with Agnes, kicking his feet, watching the horizon. The road to Pine Hollow wound through cedar groves and open fields. Edwin's hand rested near Lila's, steadying without words. Agnes passed her bread and apples, her eyes soft but tense. By afternoon, Pine Hollow appeared, a cluster of log homes along a riverbank. Eliza's letter mentioned a cabin by the millstream, where wild roses grew. Townsfolk pointed them to a path. They walked the final stretch, Agnes holding Liam's hand, Lila leading, her steps heavy with years of questions. In a clearing, a woman sat on a bench by the mill ruins, her dress faded, hair dark with silver threads. She looked up, and her face broke. Tears fell as she stood. Lila froze, taking in every line of her mother's face. "I thought I'd lost you," Eliza whispered. Lila stepped forward. "I remember your voice. You said you were sorry that night." Eliza nodded, tears streaming. "Every day since." Liam peeked from behind Agnes. Eliza knelt. "You've grown so tall," she said. "You used to hate when I combed your hair." "Don't cry anymore," Liam said. Agnes smiled. "He cried when he fell last week." Liam hesitated, then ran to Eliza, hugging her tightly. She held him, sobbing, rocking him through years of missed moments. Lila watched, unmoving. "You left us," she said. "You chose to." "I was dying," Eliza said. "No money, no home. I thought the shelter would keep you safe." "It didn't," Lila said, voice cracking. "We were alone. Forgotten." "I didn't know," Eliza sobbed. "They said you were taken in. I wrote, searched, begged. I only found you last month through a clerk's records." Lila's breath hitched. "You looked all that time?" "Always," Eliza said. Lila took her mother's hand, their grip fierce, like memory stitching itself whole. Agnes and Edwin stood back. "They need this," Agnes whispered. By the stream, they sat around a small fire Eliza built. She offered cornbread and tea. They spoke of Liam's new pup, Lila's sketches, Edwin's sneaky jam habit. Then Eliza said, "I'm not here to take you. I just needed you to know I'm alive, and I love you." Liam blinked. "You're not keeping us?" "You have a home," Eliza said. "A real one. I won't break that." "Come with us," Lila said. Eliza faltered. "I wouldn't belong." "There's room," Agnes said. "Always." "I've been alone too long," Eliza said. "Let me visit. Let me earn it." Lila nodded. "Okay." They parted with hugs, Eliza's forehead pressed to Lila's, her hand on Liam's cheek. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. Back in Willow Creek, Eliza's letters came weekly, then stopped. A month later, a writer brought news. Agnes read the note and sank into a chair. Lila steadied her. "What?" "Eliza's gone," Edwin said. "Sick again." It was quick. Liam's voice shook. "She just found us." "She left a journal," Edwin said. "Wrote every night since she saw you." They buried her on their land, per her wish. Lila planted roses by the grave. Liam carved her name into a stone. Agnes sang a hymn, her voice steady. Lila opened the journal. The first page read, "My children gave me peace. I was lost, but they found me. They made me whole." Snow fell early that year, blanketing the fields. Agnes watched from the window, her knitting untouched. Liam chased the dog through drifts. Lila packed snow around Eliza's marker. She didn't cry anymore, but she wrote nightly, her words a quiet bridge to her mother. Edwin fixed every hinge, every shelf, grief in his hammer's swing. On the Sabbath, a knock came. Agnes opened the door to a girl, maybe Lila's age, her coat threadbare, holding a boy with dirt-streaked cheeks. "Ma'am," the girl said, shivering. "We're homeless. Can we, just for tonight?" Agnes's breath caught. Lila stepped forward, seeing her own past in the girl's eyes. The house, once quiet, was ready to grow again. The girl's face was pale, her eyes too weary for her age, her posture rigid with caution. Edwin appeared behind Agnes, then Liam, followed by their dog, tail wagging, nudging the boy's legs. Agnes opened the door wider. "Come in," she said softly. "Both of you." The girl hesitated, then crossed the threshold, pulling the boy along. Lila stood by the staircase, her gaze fixed on them. "What are your names?" she asked quietly. "I'm Nora," the girl murmured. "This is my brother, Finn." Lila's throat tightened. Agnes draped a blanket over Nora's shoulders and handed another to Finn. "You're safe here," she said, echoing words once spoken to Lila and Liam. Edwin headed to the stove, spooning out the last of the soup. Silence held the room that night, broken only by the fire's crackle. Nora dozed in a chair, Finn curled beside the dog. Lila tucked them in, adjusting Nora's pillow, brushing hair from her eyes. In the dim upstairs bedroom, Lila sat with Agnes on the quilt's edge. "They were out there, like we were," she whispered. Agnes nodded. "The world's full of lost ones, Lila. Not all get found." We did, Lila said, taking Agnes's hand. You did, Agnes replied. Now it's your turn to find others. The next morning, Nora stayed silent. Finn ate cautiously, eyes darting at every sound. Liam tried joking, but Finn didn't smile. When Lila showed Nora her sketchbook, filled with pressed leaves, Nora nodded but barely looked. On the fourth day, Agnes overheard Lila humming in the kitchen, and Nora joined in, faint but clear, catching the tune. That night, Lila braided Nora's hair. She didn't ask about their past, waiting patiently like a steady rain. On the fifth night, Nora whispered, "Were you homeless too?" Lila nodded. "They told us we weren't wanted." Nora's eyes dropped. "They said that to us. Someone took us in," Lila said. "Agnes and Edwin made us theirs." "They're not your real parents?" Nora asked. "They are now," Lila said, voice thick. "They chose us. That's real." Nora's eyes glistened. "Would they choose us?" Lila touched her cheek. "They already have." Winter tightened its grip. Snow sealed the roads, frost clung to the barn. But the farmhouse found a rhythm. Finn trailed Liam through chores, laughing when the dog leaped into the straw. Nora watched Agnes, copying how she folded towels or stirred batter. She scribbled notes, sage flower, in shaky letters. Edwin built 2 beds, one in Liam's room, one in Lila's. Agnes stitched initials into new blankets, her hands unsteady but helped by Lila's steady thread. One day, Edwin called Lila and Agnes to the porch, handing over a stamped paper. "What is it?" Lila asked. "Adoption papers," Edwin said. "For Nora and Finn." Lila's breath caught. "You're sure?" "We're sure the day they knocked," Edwin said. Lila hugged him. But spring brought trouble. A man arrived, boots caked in mud, coat frayed, beard unkempt. He asked for Nora. Agnes answered the door, unaware. "Can I help you?" "I'm their uncle," he said, grinning crookedly. "Come for Nora and Finn." "Who are you?" Agnes asked. "Name's Gideon," he said. Lila stepped forward. "You left them." "Got tied up," Gideon shrugged. "I'm here now." Edwin crossed his arms. "Prove your kin." Gideon produced a crumpled birth record. "Nora's mother was my sister." Agnes took the paper, her hands shaking. "It was real." "You abandoned them," Lila said. "Nora told me. You promised to come back." "You didn't." "They ain't yours," Gideon said. "They're not yours either," Lila shot back. "Law says blood wins," Gideon said. "I'll take it to the sheriff." Lila ran to Sheriff Brandt, who read the record and sighed. "He's got a claim. You'll need to fight it, court, judge, hearing. It'll take time." Lila's voice broke. "He'll take them." "File a challenge," Brandt said. "It's all you can do." Lila stumbled into the street, snow melting under a weak sun. The world moved on, wagons rattled, children laughed, but her heart stalled. At home, Nora stood in the doorway. "You'll let him take us?" "No," Lila said fiercely. "I won't." "What if he wins?" Nora asked. Lila knelt. "I'll fight for you. You belong here." Nora sobbed, collapsing into Lila's arms. The next day, Agnes and Edwin filed a petition. Lila, with Brandt's help, submitted an injunction. Eliza's journal was presented as testimony to their care. Neighbors sent letters vouching for the family. Weeks dragged, Gideon appearing daily, smirking like victory was his. Then one morning, Brandt arrived, hat in hand. "Sit," he said. "Just tell me," Lila said. "Gideon's done," Brandt said. "Arrested last night, wanted for swindling and assault in other towns. Confessed he came for money, not the kids." Lila sank to her knees, tears falling. Agnes held her. Liam and Finn burst in. "We stay?" Finn asked. "You're home," Lila said, laughing through tears. Nora at the stairs whispered, "Forever?" "Forever," Lila said. The farmhouse felt lighter, as if a shadow had lifted. Nora's laugh grew bold, shaking her small frame as she played with the dog in the mud. Finn spun tales of dragons and sheriffs with wings, asking Agnes to play the queen. The house stretched, not in size but in warmth. Agnes taught Nora to bake, the kitchen rich with nutmeg. Edwin showed Finn how to hammer nails, smiling when they bent. Lila changed quietly. She still checked doors at night, but wrote with new certainty in a fresh journal. After tucking Nora in one night, the girl whispered, "Thank you for finding us." "You found us too," Lila said, writing we found each other on the journal's first page. Summer bloomed, the garden a wild tangle Lila said the bees loved. Liam and Finn built a lopsided birdhouse. Birds nested anyway. One day, Nora brought a friend, Ivy, from a nearby farm. Shy, with neat braids, Ivy thanked Agnes for juice. Nora beamed. That's my grandma, and grandpa's over there, fixing things. That's my sister, Lila, who draws. That's my brother, Liam, he talks a lot. Lila, at the window, pressed a hand to her heart, tears silent. At the town fair, Agnes entered a cake contest, her first in years. Edwin carved new chairbacks. Lila, in a dress she'd sewn, held Nora and Finn's hands as fireworks lit the sky. She'd once thought some wounds never healed, too deep to mend. But watching Nora's eyes glow, hearing Finn's delighted squeals, she understood. Love didn't close the wounds, it filled them with strength. That night, Finn slept soundly, Liam's dog snoring nearby. An owl parametric called outside. Agnes and Edwin retired early, leaving a lantern glowing. Lila sat in Eliza's old chair, opened her journal, and wrote, "We weren't just saved. We saved each other." She closed the book, turned off the light, and the house, full of love, grit, and second chances, settled into peace. They were the family that shouldn't have been, but by some quiet miracle they were. And they would endure, not just now, but always. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you love this video, and share your loved on.